We are Tailgate Talk. Welcome to the show. I'm Matt Thomas. With me, we've got Trent Williams and Kyle Schumann. Kyle Mulwiney, don't know where he's at, but I do know where he was on Saturday night. He was in the Whiteout. Dominating victory for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Guys, what did you think?
Kyle, thoughts?
Well, fortunately, family issues. Couldn't make it to the game. Had to take a $250 Uber ride at 6 a.m. from Beaver Stadium. That was not fun, but it was nice to see a dominant win. And also, when CBS did the aerial shot of the stadium, I'm just there like, shit. Just there like sign every 3 minutes. But I was telling Trent on Sunday that like it made me appreciate all the other Whiteout games I've been to because like it is a spectacle. It is amazing. And I'm just like, I'm never missing another one again. So
Yeah,
it was just awesome. And I was just jealous for everyone else to attend. So that's why even if you're not a Penn State fan, an Iowa fan, whatever, if you're a football fan, go to the damn Whiteout game once in your life. It's a great experience. And I'm so jealous that I couldn't make it.
I was gonna ask. It's been a long time since I've watched a Whiteout live, on TV. I was gonna ask what that experience was like. I'd imagine it was.
CBS did a great job with like the aerial shots, all the entrances and everything like that. So that part was cool. But again, it doesn't beat the actual in-game fanfare, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you almost paid it. That's all that counts. So
from the only person that was in the stands, I can tell you it was pretty good. I mean, for the rain, I thought the fans did a great job of keeping the whiteout. Better than I thought. I thought we'd do a pretty good job, but it was far and few between when you picked out someone not wearing white, even through the rain. So I was pretty impressed with that. Crowd, I thought, was a little mellower than most whiteouts. I think the opponent had a little something to do with that. I was surprised to see it was the second largest crowd. But again, we've talked on here a lot about how we don't trust those
we don't know
counts.
What goes in those metrics, like the 12 people working in the one concession stand behind WDU or something like that. If they're included
they're there. That's all that matters. They're in the building.
Those counts confused me. It did not feel like the second largest crowd in Beaver Stadium history, but
it looked pretty big. I said the weather was, it was chilly in the press box. There was a breeze coming through, but no, there were several occasions in which the entire press box was shaking. So it was cool. It was a very cool atmosphere. And I mean, I think we could probably say it was the most dominant win of the James Franklin era. Opponent,
100%.
Stage, magnitude, like it was something else.
The biggest question, we'll get in more detail, obviously, but what percent do you give Penn State being dominant versus Iowa just being completely inept? It's like if you had to give a percentage of 100, what Penn State, what Iowa?
Maybe 60-40, maybe. Like,
yeah, I think that's too pessimistic. I'm trying on this. If we can't come out of this with overwhelming positivity for ourselves after destroying a top 25 team 31-0. I don't know when you'd ever be satisfied as a fan. So for all the fans out there that still find a ton of negativity coming out of this game, just hang it up. You're never gonna find happiness if that's how you come out of that game.
Yeah, no. I'm extremely optimistic about it. I'm just like, Iowa was really bad. Like when we did our staff picks on Friday, I wrote like, I don't know how I was gonna get points. I wasn't being literal, but I guess I was being literal because I'm sitting there like, I don't know how they're going to get points.
Sorry,
go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was going to say, I knew that game was in our hands. That punt muff that Iowa had off the blockers back. I just knew that like, it's just not Iowa's day. They're going to have this. It's going to be Iowa. Iowa's going to Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Like friend of the program, Pat Swayda, texted me and he's like, in some point in the third quarter, I think he's like, I don't know, I feel kind of nervous. I'm like, what are you nervous about? Like this game has been in control since the first possession of the game. But there was
when that game was 3-0, I felt confident we could not score again, and I honestly did. Like I thought there was just no way they were scoring, and it's funny because my our preview of this game was very opposite. But in the moment, I felt like this game's over. There's no way this team is scoring.
There was the point, I think, either late third quarter or early fourth quarter, where the Iowa in-game total was a half a point. And I was
Jesus.
like,
I didn't even see that.
I was like, I gotta take the over, because you just figure like, all right, they're gonna put the subs in, like they'll get something, get a garbage time. Like, I lost money because they couldn't move the damn ball. They had 2 first downs until like the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Like, holy crap.
We can finally say Trent was wrong taking Iowa with the points there and the over.
Yeah, I just touched on it, but I don't know. Even before that game, Saturday, others like at the tailgate were asking me my thoughts, and I'm like, I think we crushed this team. And then I had this thought, like, why on earth was I thinking so differently last week on the pod? Like today, I'm so confident we're gonna kill this team, and I wasn't last week. I don't know what happened, but I
know
will gladly be wrong.
I know
Like,
Matt's
I
gonna have
never
all the fun stats right now. We'll just play some fun stat reading. All these different metrics that we saw after the game are just hysterical.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the best one is the one that Josh Pate used last night on his show, where 21 more plays for Penn State compared to yards for Iowa. Like, I mean, it is just freaking, it's crazy. So 76 total yards. That's the 10th fewest allowed in program history. 4 first downs. That's 4th fewest. Again, they had 2. They had 2 on that first drive, and then didn't have another one until the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter, which is just crazy. Like, you didn't even realize that in real time until it's like, holy crap. Time of possession, 45 minutes and 27 seconds. Penn State leads the nation in time of possession, and I'm pretty sure it was just for that game. I didn't get a chance to go back and look and see what it was last week, but I think 45 minutes of game time has a
I'll swing it a little.
Yeah,
About
I think
Iowa having 366 punt yards to 76 yards of offense. I think it's my favorite stat. I think it's just their punter was good. He pinned us deep a few times, but
the punter is very good.
Gets a lot of practice.
Yeah, got lucky with that Caden Saunders muff. Like, that could have potentially been a swinging point. When after that one, when we got that ball back, I was like, all right, yeah, this one's over for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think we have to start on the defensive side of the ball, right? We've already kind of been talking about it, but it was just, again, Iowa's offense is Iowa's offense, but that is what you're supposed to do to an offense like that.
Remember, we used to do the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
This is one of those segments where there would be zero ugly. Defense was just stellar. I'm not going to say a single negative thing. I mean, you can't. We just shut out a top 25 team, and I get it. The offense is not great. Still impressive.
the only thing I can say, even remotely bad about the defense, is that initial possession. Iowa punches in the mouth a little bit until we literally punch the ball out of that tight end with Eric All's hand, whatever his name was. And it was all downhill from there for Iowa. But at the same time, also a team like Iowa, when we get an inferior opponent down bad, and we have all 4 of our pass rushers, like we get some of our slower D tackles out and just put like Chop Robinson on the inside and have him bully a center or a guard. Like, we can just pin our ears back and get after the quarterback's ass. So I mean, that's what we like to see.
Yeah, well, they started the game with 3 defensive ends in there, which is impressive.
Good, I like it.
It was just Chop celebration too. The flops.
The flops were good.
He wasn't even there in 2021. He's just flopping anyway. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I was happy to see. I mean, that was the defensive line's coming out party, and even there was just so many pressures where they didn't really record the sack, but the pressure was there, and they made the play even though they didn't technically get him to the ground. Pressure was there all night. It was fantastic. Every across the board. Cannot praise the defense anymore.
Remember my last call question this week was Penn State gonna get over under 1.5 turnovers. We got 4. So
yeah, they got a lot. Curtis Jacobs, 2 fumble recoveries, the first time that anyone has done that since 1991. Like, that was impressive. It was a really, really, really impressive showing, and that's the long and the short of it. I'm trying to think of what else from that. Like, it it was just a wall of shit for Iowa. Like
Yeah.
that was not good.
Well, it felt like the first game in a while where we got the breaks. Like
yeah.
even
Mhm.
the first fumble there where it's like, was the ball moving? It was close. I personally felt like it started to move before he made contact with the ground. But I mean, the call stood, felt like we got a little bit of right there. Obviously the punt off the dude's back, big break there. Caden Saunders, the muff punt return, recovered that. Like it just felt for the first time the breaks went our way. And obviously we took advantage in a dominant victory.
Yeah, well, then you had the Katron, I think, where there was the potential fun tumble where he was down. And then you had that weird ass double pass that they were going to try to throw, where like that.
I was so confused in the game, even when they were showing the replay.
You couldn't see there was one camera angle that they had on the TV broadcast that you could, and the ball literally skipped by like 3 yards. Like it wasn't even close.
Wow.
It was just,
I still haven't seen that angle. And I'm in the game, I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable on football rules. And for the life of me, I could not I'm like, what does it matter? Like, I understand they were looking at if it was a forward pass or not. And I was like, I don't get it. It's not, he didn't throw the ball. Like, I did not know they were looking at it to be an incompletion until someone else, like aside of me, someone texted them that was watching on TV and said that's what they're looking at. And still watching the board, I couldn't see it.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like I knew they were looking to see if it was incomplete, but I was like, oh, did like just the tip of the ball hit the ground or whatever? And like, no, there was a good like 2 or 3 yards in that. But yeah, I mean, actually, on that play, while we're still talking about it, the funniest thing was how Aller throws that ball and then he turns around to the sideline and he looked like he was ready to rip somebody's head off. I have no idea what that was about.
Yeah,
like,
it almost felt scripted.
Yeah,
because it was so instantaneous. It's almost like
Yeah.
it was scripted, but I'm like, I don't know, none of it made sense. I noticed that too. As soon as watching that play, I noticed he just like, as the second the ball comes out of his hand, he just like starts yelling and turns to the sideline instantaneously. It was weird.
Yeah, I'm almost sort of wondering if maybe he threw that ball in the dirt on purpose, like seeing that alignment, because like it was like,
Yeah.
If that ball actually hit the ground like that, that was his worst throw of the season. Like, because it was not good.
And maybe he knew because it was a forward pass that he was gonna. Can't remember Smith was gonna try to turn around and throw it. I don't know. That'd be pretty impressive decision making on the spot like that if he did do that.
Yeah, but I think he had a fire heaving Aller, obviously, that like we really haven't seen from him yet. Like he's been impressively like poised and mature through this entire season, but he still was, but he was a little chirpy. I think I hadn't seen that out of him.
Yeah, he seemed more passionate.
Yeah, but I mean,
well, while we talk about Drew, I mean, some people after the game were like, "Oh, Drew's yards per attempts weren't that good. He's only throwing these quick little slants and outs." And if in that type of game against that kind of defense in that kind of weather, that's all you need from your young quarterback. Still throws 4 touchdowns. So I could care less. Like we don't need. This isn't a game where we need Drew to go and throw for 250 and 5 touchdowns. Got what 160 and 4 touchdowns. Like perfect.
Yeah. So let's talk about that right now. Are you guys like the criticism that has kind of now seeped its way in 2 days after the game is, oh well, the explosive plays aren't there, the big plays aren't there. Are you guys worried about that? I'm like,
did we get in the end zone like 4 times? And those possessions were what? Some were like what 10, 15 plays, and were how many minutes? You handed what 45 minutes of time of possession. I mean, we can't have it both ways.
4 scoring drives of 10 plus plays. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of like I get if like we hadn't seen that at all, but we had tons of big plays against West Virginia, like tons of big passing plays. So we know that when it's there, we can hit it. Like it just hasn't been there the last couple of games, and even like we
didn't need this game.
Yeah, we haven't needed them,
and that's the thing. I've never seen fans complain so much. I mean, we have the longest active streak of any team of games of 30 plus points or more.
This is what happens. We
It's
get
like,
mad at big
and
media outlet. His
so it's like
pessimism just gets on everybody.
we lead the nation in streak of scoring 30 points, and people still find ways to complain about the offense. And it's like, we look at our scores: 38-15, 63-7, 30-13, 31-0.
Well, even
Where
going back to
where
last
did we
year,
need the big plays? Why would we just throw stuff out there to throw it out there for the fun of it? Like,
Yeah.
we haven't needed to.
won 9 straight games by at least 14 points. No other team has a streak longer than 6. So like, I mean, and again, even people are complaining about the running game and not being able to break off those big runs. Like, all right, but like we've seen Nick Singleton and Katron Allen do that. Like, it's there, it's just not there right now.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah. And this offense has looked so much better in the second half of most of these games. And to me, it's a great sign. Like, I get it. In Illinois, we struggled in the first half there, but we put it together in the second half offensively. West Virginia, same thing. And again, against Iowa. I mean, the second half of these games, we've come out and made proper adjustments and moved the ball and put points on the board, regardless of it, whether it's, we don't have explosive plays in the passing game, run game. Who cares? We're putting up points and blowing out teams we don't need to.
Yeah.
From what I saw, again, it's a group that gets the least amount of credit and the first one that gets criticism. I thought the offensive line did a great job with keeping Drew clean when he did drop off the pass. And yeah, we didn't have any breakout runs, but we got first downs we needed. We got we were 4 for 4 and 4th down, and how many of those were QB sneaks? So I mean, like, the offensive line did what they needed to do to win the game. So
Yeah.
I was pleased with them this time around.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I can understand if you want to say, all right, well, in the second half, the offensive line just wore down Iowa's defensive front. When you're running 90 plays, okay, that's fine. Like, but it was the 4th downs actually that stood out for me. Like you said, 4 for 4, and 3 of them were QB sneaks. So like, we got the yardage when we needed the yardage. So we were able to create the holes when we needed the holes.
Yeah,
so
there was never a time, like, short yardage, I felt confident that we were going to get the push we needed. I felt confident that our backs can lower their shoulder and get the yardage we need. There's going to be a time Singleton breaks out for a big run. It just has to. I mean, he's been so close so many times. It's going to happen eventually, but I just can't understand why so many people complain about things that, like, it's not like we're not Iowa offense here. We're not going out there and putting up 10 points a game and barely getting by. I mean, our offense is doing phenomenal.
Yeah. Do we have anything else on this game? Because that is kind of a point that I wanted to bring up and pivot. So
I was just saying the only, one thing I thought we cleaned up well compared to the Illinois game was penalties, only having 4 penalties. I think both teams had 4. We had for 45 yards. And I'm looking at the box score again. It's just crazy that a quarterback can have 42 passing yards in a game.
Did
I think it's just hilarious.
Defense.
Did you guys find Franklin's first time out a little odd? Felt like we had them on their toes, and then we called timeout there.
I think
I get
so.
It. He probably didn't like what they seen out there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think Iowa, if I'm remembering correctly, that was on the first drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they like shifted, or like they clearly came out in something that the coaching staff wasn't expecting. So
I get it. It just felt to me like, we had all the momentum there. It was 3rd down, and it just felt like an odd spot for us to call a timeout there, being that I have no reason not to trust our defense. And it was probably a good timeout. Obviously, we shut them out, so can't complain much about any coaching decisions, but just felt weird to me.
Before we transition and try to just talk about coaching decisions, how long is Iowa going to keep Brian Ferentz at this point? I mean, I just feel bad for that fan base now. I don't like him, but that is just a dumpster fire of a coordinator.
I thought he did a good job.
If he lasts this week, which he's probably going to, if he's coaching next week and he's making the season, I mean, if he's not fired this week, he's not going to be.
Other than being a meteorologist, what profession can you be so wrong in your job and just be inept and still have a job the next week?
Small business accountants.
Yeah,
small business accountants. Okay.
Yeah. For a certain mid-tier regional firm that will go
Matt.
unnamed.
Matt can't afford my services anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I couldn't afford the amount of money that I would lose if I had your services. So,
Matt,
yeah, no, I
my
couldn't.
billable hours are too high for you.
Yeah, no,
you wouldn't be able to.
I couldn't afford to lose all my savings, but all right. So Trent, what you were saying kind of brings up a point that I wanted to make, and I think we could do your like percentage thing now because I think it goes well here. But like,
do it.
Is there an argument to be made that Penn State's the best team in the Big Ten? Like, I think I'll say my stance right now. Like right now, snapshot in time, yes, I think Penn State is the best team in the Big Ten. Like, and I look at it kind of this way. Like, I don't know if they're going to go to the college football playoff. Like, I don't know if they're going to win the Big Ten, but the way that they've played through 4 games, it's not like if that happens, I'm going to look back and say, oh, well, they really turned X, Y, or Z around. And like, that's why they got to this spot. Like they are playing the way that a playoff caliber team should be playing against this level of competition. So.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it goes on. So much of that stuff is like people can interpret it very different ways. Who's the best team in the Big Ten? I agree with you, Matt. If you're looking at a single snapshot of like right now through these first 4 games, how have all the Big Ten teams looked against their opponents and take into consideration, the scores and all that, I would think, yeah, we've probably been the best team. Ohio State obviously did themselves a huge solid this weekend. Huge win over Notre Dame. Kyle, that's one part I'm probably a little jealous of, is you got to actually watch some of that game where we didn't get to see any of it. But I think, that's not how the mind works. We typically don't look at a snapshot in time. We take past performance and past results into play there. And I think that's why, Ohio State and Michigan are still getting that upper edge on us and things like the AP poll. Good news for us is we play both those teams. So it will play out on the field. There will not be a guessing game.
I think we for sure looked like the most consistent and overall put together team. But like what I've been harping on since preseason is, can this team get over that hump and win one of these 2 games? That's been like, it's been our bugaboo for the past few years.
You don't think they can? We've made
until we do it. It's like until proven otherwise. I hope this team can do it. They've shown that this through 4 weeks we have a complete team. So
definitely has the best caliber. Where Ohio State has the best win, but Penn State has the best resume overall, like top to bottom. But
I think we can all say Michigan's probably looked the worst out of the 3.
Yeah, I think so. They just haven't looked impressive. And honestly, I don't know. Like honestly, it very well could be possible that the Penn State game is their first real test.
They just missed Cade McNamara.
Yeah. But... You're on mute, Trent.
Trent, you're muted.
Sorry. I would say with Michigan, I mean, I would say they look the worst only because Ohio State sneaked out that victory. That does a lot. It's crazy how much in college football, a single play, if Ohio State gets stuck on that final play of the game, the narrative is so different. One play is the difference between a great win and a loss to the only good team you've played so far this year.
Well, if Notre Dame would have put one more defender in, because they only had 10 guys on the field, they're missing one more defensive lineman, probably get that stop. Because with 10 guys, they almost did stop them.
Yeah. But if Iowa would have put 16 offensive players on the field, they still probably wouldn't have scored.
They might have broke 100 yards though. So probably would have got that. So all right, let's do the percentage thing, the change. I don't remember what I picked last week.
All right. Lucky for you guys, I still have it.
What was our preseason and what was the last week instead of going?
All right, preseason.
Yours is not that much different, Coco, because you're going up by half a percentage point every week.
Preseason, Matt was 20. He was at 22.5. Where are you at this week?
Me, I'm at 30. I'm going up. Like I said, it's the caliber work that we put out there on top of what I've seen from Ohio State and Michigan so far.
Kyle,
Coco?
you're sitting at 17%.
Knowing what I know right now, based off this win,
17.3.
and also knowing what we have coming up before Ohio State, we have 3 bye weeks. I'll go 22%. It's probably the biggest jump of the season there. But knowing what I have until Ohio State, I'll give us 22%.
All right.
Oh, excuse me.
I was sitting at 27, and I think I'm going to sit there, and I think I'm going to sit pretty close to that 27 mark. I can't quite get up to the 30 mark, maybe 28%. I could probably bring it up to 28%, but the way we destroyed this Iowa offense, Iowa defense was telling. It really was. I like coming back off of a less than stellar performance against Illinois and turning around against an even better defense. But I just still don't think we've been super tested. So until I see us a little more tested, I just have a hard time getting that 30 mark.
Who you're wagering with over there? I don't think I can do 27.
Because I want to. I
29.
feel so good about this win, but 30%. I mean, we're getting close to a 1 in 3 chance. It's a lot. That's a lot.
Well, it's a snapshot time, like I said. Once we lose to Northwestern this week, then I'll knock us back down to 29%.
Kyle will go up to like 40 and be like, "That's what I want to see." I think we needed this loss.
This was a wake up. This was a wake up call.
This is the wake up call we needed.
Okay. Speaking of Northwestern, which after a big matchup, we're gonna have a bunch of sleepers for a while. I mean, obviously everybody knows what has been going on with the Northwestern program and the situation that they're in. It's unfortunate. 21st overall meeting, Penn State not surprisingly holds a steady 15-5 advantage. They're not a very good football team. They got an impressive win this weekend against Minnesota. Like, that was impressive.
Surprising.
Yeah, Coco, you'll have to give us your insights because
Minnesota blew that game. Minnesota was up, I think like 3 scores during that game. And Northwestern just came back. So probably props to them.
Yeah, they got
that's my only insight.
Spirit.
That's my only insight. I did not see any of that game.
That was the game that they needed. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through some of the numbers here that we have, like ranking comparisons. It's not good. Rushing defense is 112th in the country. Rushing offense is 119th. So don't expect them to run the ball a lot. Their passing game is, what's his name? Ben Bryant. He looked bad against Rutgers to start the year, but he's turned it around a little bit. He's almost at 1,000 passing yards. Their one receiver here. Let me just scroll to find the name. Bryce Kurtz. He's leads the Big Ten with 91 receiving yard average per game. So, I mean, you can expect them to air it out a little bit. I kind of think that they might have a little bit of a different result than what they had last week when they threw for like almost 400 yards against Minnesota.
I'm about to say that Bryant guy threw for 396 and 4 touchdowns, and Kurtz was 215 those receiving yards and 2 of those touchdowns. So it seems like it's just those 2 really.
Yeah. I mean, they're like I said, their defense not that great. The rushing defense is poor. They don't get a lot of pressure. 101st in sacks per game. Total defense is not good. And they're also very, very poor in time of possession to go along with that poor offense. They're they're almost the last team in the FBS in time of possession. So you can expect to see probably more of the same from what we saw last week.
Matt, I just pulled up that Northwestern Minnesota game. Minnesota was up 31-10 with 2 minutes 11 seconds left in the third quarter, and Northwestern scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
It could have happened to us. We weren't up by that much. We were only up what, couple points or 24, whatever. I forget what the score was at the end of the third quarter. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how many different ways you could skin a cat with this one. I think we touched on him last year too when we did our recap. Bryce Gallagher. he 7th in the country in total tackles, 11 tackles per game for Northwestern. He had a pretty good game last year, I remember too, in that slog fest in the rain where running backs fumbled the ball 4 times and Winnie just trying to figure out why they don't practice holding onto the football. I don't know. I don't know why.
That's
All-time insight.
that's the stuff we miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is Winnie not on the call? I thought he was being quiet again.
We should have him as a special guest.
We should. We miss you, Winnie. Come back.
Poor guy. Poor guy. Now, like Matt said, I think this game's tough to really, dig into the the true hardcore matchups and stuff because I mean ESPN's matchup predictor has us at a 93.4% chance to win. Northwestern only at a 6.6. So that being said, what are you guys looking for in this game? Coming off, a game like that against Iowa, what are you looking for to see from our defense? What position group are you looking to see step up or do something that we haven't seen yet? And same offensively, is this a game where you're looking to see us throw the ball downfield a little more to try to build that connection, like some fans are saying, or is this another game where you think we just go in there, try to do the bare minimum to get out there with a comfortable victory and not risk any injury and not really show too much?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's.
Oh, you go first, Matt.
Go. I think it's more. I'll go. I
One,
think it's
two,
more.
you go.
I'll decide. Matt, go.
Yeah. I think it's more the latter. Like, I mean, I don't think you're going to see anything that, out of the box. Defensively, I don't know who you could say that you want to see step up. Like they, like we talked about, they played so well last week and the last 2 weeks, really. So, I mean, I think it's just more of the same there. And honestly, it's more of the same from the offense, too. Like, if you could get a big running play, shut people like Jackson and everybody else up, that would be good. But, I mean, I think if we get out there, don't turn the ball over again. We're the only team in the country that hasn't turned the ball over yet. If you keep that streak going, obviously the one thing that everybody knows with Northwestern is the tall grass and how, that always factors into a game. So like, if you could just, like you said, get out of there without any injuries and get the backups a little bit more work before the bye and before UMass and before the Ohio State game, I think you got to consider it a win.
Yeah.
I think with how Northwestern has been throwing the ball this year, I want to see our pass rush build off their game last week, where I feel like last week we were getting home. Maybe we weren't getting all the sacks, but we at least were almost getting home. And Chop, Adiza Isaac, all these guys paying their ears back and going. So I think I want to see them build off this week. Hopefully, we can get 3 or 4 sacks.
Like a Saturday in the Chop House.
I think that's one thing that injury wise. I mean, we've played a lot of games where it feels like every couple of plays our opponents are down the field injured. There's been very few moments this year where like one of our players is down the field and it's like, oh, who is that hurt? Who is that laying down? And I think a lot of that goes into the fact that we have been able to play pretty conservatively. We're not having to go out there and play too strenuously because we're getting these leads and I think our depth has a lot to do with that. A lot of guys are playing a lot of split time. Our tight ends are they both play so much. Our third string tight end, Khalil Dinkins, I mean, he's more productive than anyone on Iowa's offense, and he's a third string guy. Yeah. I think a lot of that stuff goes unnoticed, and I think it's important. I agree. The one thing I do want to see offensively is to keep the no turnover streak alive. I think that's awesome. You'd love to see that continue, especially in a game like this. That's the one thing I am looking forward to. In terms of like explosive plays, I would like to see us break out for a run because that I don't think that's showing anything. That's just the hole opens up and we hit an explosive play. I'd like to see that. But on that, I want to ask you guys another question. What do you think of the split between K-Tron and Singleton? I mean, I've seen some chatter about that, how K-Tron seems to be getting so much of the workload and Singleton not as much. How do you guys feel?
It is odd. Like, I did notice that, like, even early in the game last week too, where I think I noticed it right as Singleton was coming in, but I was like, where is he? Like, it's weird, I I don't know. I mean, I don't. Obviously, you're not going to keep someone on like Nick Singleton on the bench unless there's a reason for it, right? Like it's whether Katron is just doing that much better in practice, which I mean they're both so talented. I don't necessarily know, or if you're kind of factoring in that like you can keep Singleton's legs fresh down the stretch, like that might be a value there. Like I don't really necessarily read too much into it. I mean, the bottom line is they're both kind of, they're still getting their touches. They're still making the most of it. Like Singleton is still, gosh, how many touchdowns does he have so far this year? Like a decent.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting his scores for sure. And he's playing. It's not like he's not playing at all. They're still splitting a lot of time. I just think coming into the season, you've seen it opposite. You've seen where, Katron would come in and sort of give Singleton the breather, but Singleton's your main back, your go-to back doing the majority of the lifting. It just feels a little flipped. One thing I will say, and I think this is part of being a fan, is we're not in the know near as much on some of these things. Like we don't know what a running back's true assignment is, or what hole they're truly supposed to hit, or what block they're supposed to be picking up until, those are things that as fans, we just watch a play and we just assume where a running back runs is where he was supposed to run. But, maybe Singleton's bouncing stuff outside where the coaches are adamant that like, keep this inside, don't bounce this outside. So I'm wondering if it's that kind of stuff, small little X's and O's detail that Singleton just, that Katron's doing better. Those are the things that as fans, we don't know those things.
Yeah, I mean, so Singleton has 5 touchdowns. Sorry, I was getting that number. My reaction to it is good for Katron. Like Katron deserves his touches too. Like he's an extremely
good for fat
back.
man.
Yeah, and he's been making the most of it. So that's my response to it. But
yeah, I don't have an issue with it, but that's just another thing fans complain about. Even fans in the stadium yelling like, "Oh, why is put Singleton in? Katron's carrying the ball too much," and it's like, people just to complain. I guess
just that mentality. Everybody wants to see the big play. Like everybody wants to see the home run ball or the 70-yard touchdown run. Like those long methodical drives serve their purpose, but it's not going to necessarily be the sexy thing that everybody wants to see. So
yeah,
I think this past week we were just a much better version of Wisconsin, just having that full-time possession, 15 play drives, and all that defense. But we're just much better version.
Kyle mentioned before we have 3 buys. I mean, as fans, we're all looking ahead now, right? I mean, that was the last game to we've been looking ahead, but that was the one game that we had to get by, and now it's like my eyes can't stop looking at Ohio State in the schedule. I just need it. I need it to be here.
Yeah. I will add that I'm very happy to be watching the next couple of games and the next couple of weeks of college football on my couch and being able to watch more than just one game at a time. But yeah, everybody's looking to that Ohio State game for sure at this point.
Not the team though.
Score predictions for this one.
Oh yeah, we got to do our whatchamacallit. It's the shoot. I can't
Use your
remember
words
now. It's too late. Pick your plate. There it is. Yeah. See, I wanted to record early and Trent didn't. And now I'm all screwed up. So,
Matt, what's your score prediction for this game?
42-7.
42-7.
Yeah. So I think that beats the spread. I think that probably beats the over under or whatever it is. So
for the listeners, we're as of right now 26.5-point favorites, and the over under is 46.5. So Matt's taking Penn State to cover and the over.
I'm sorry. I just got to voice how unhappy I was with the Oregon over and under 42-0 in the third quarter, and we couldn't get one more score to get 45.5. Sorry, I'm still peeved about that. I thought that was a lock. Go ahead, Trent. Sorry.
Well, Trent doesn't give scores. I'll go 34-7. 34-7.
Maybe he should after that terrible choice last week, Iowa covering, but I'm an idiot.
That was dumb. That was dumb. I'll admit.
So I guess I do some quick math. That would be us covering and the under. So
okay. All right. I don't know. I eventually, eventually we're not going to beat the spread, right? But by design, a spread is supposed to be like 50-50. You're supposed to cover it half the time and not cover it the other half. But
But don't think it's against Northwestern.
I know, but all right, screw it. We're gonna cover. Back on the train. Back on the cover train. We're gonna cover the line. What was the over under, Kyle?
46.5.
Ooh, 46.5. I'll take. I'll take the under.
So Trent can use some help right now. Matt and I are beating him by a bit right now in our picks so far. Matt and I are 13-8, Trent's 10-11. Turning into a little mini Winnie right now. Just falling behind.
I don't care about the podcast picks. These don't affect my sports. These don't affect my sportsbook balance.
Matt, he does care.
Yeah. The ones that actually win me money are the ones I care about.
Okay.
Oh, didn't you give us $100 for this, like we said we were going to? Beginning of the year. You can bet on me.
If you would have called it out, I would have.
What are the lines you got, Coco?
Kansas at Texas. Texas is favored by 17.
I like Texas to cover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for Kansas, and like I wouldn't be shocked to see it, but Texas is playing really, really well right now. So give me Texas.
I really want to take Kansas. I'll take Kansas.
Do it.
I don't think they'll win, but I think they can cover the 17. And we got an ugly one here. We're going back to the Iowa well here. Michigan State and Iowa, that over under is 36.5. This is an ugly game. That's something that I don't want my future kids watching that replay of that game. It's just ugly.
Iowa's gonna bounce back. I am confident Brian Prince has learned from his mistakes last week. He's gonna put an offensive showing up and
put 10 points,
maybe 15. I'll take the over. I'm rooting for him.
Well, we got to cheer for Iowa now. It was big. It was big that Northwestern got that win last week for our future, like possible 3-way tiebreaker Big Ten crap.
Yeah.
But
I still don't think it'll help, and we won't need it. We don't need the tiebreaker.
You're the only one that thinks we're gonna need it. So, I'm gonna go with under in that Iowa game. I don't know where Iowa's gonna find points. Just don't know.
Well, you don't believe like I do. I believe.
I'm gonna go under as well. Neither team is good this year. Neither team is good offensively this year. So
that Iowa offense was so close last week to just breaking through and putting up 40.
Yeah, I thought this would be fun. The Coco Sportsbook will defer to one of you guys to make your line this week, because also I didn't pick one. So if you guys on the spot, just pick one. See who can come up with one.
For what?
Just do a line for our game, like I did last week. Was Iowa?
Well, screw it. Screw it. We're averaging like 15 turnovers a game. Dude, I'll put it back at 1.5. 1.5.
Over.
I'm taking the under. It's just something got to break.
I'm gonna take under.
I'll be happy to be wrong, but I mean this. Gosh,
I agree, but it ain't gonna be against Northwestern. That's all I'm saying.
I did. I'm willing to be wrong.
Yeah, we know you are.
I took under as well. I agree with Trent. We can't maintain this 4 turnovers a game or whatever it is.
I thought it was crazy when Kyle asked if we were going to have 2 last week.
That was different. I've seen, and now I believe. So, all right, last call.
Who wants to go first?
You can go first, Coco.
Yeah, Coco.
Let's also get your through 4 weeks. What are your overall feelings of the Big Ten in general? I know we talked about the East and our 3 teams, but a general, tone of the conference right now as a whole through 4 weeks.
Big Ten East is decent, is good. Bottom half of the Big Ten East is pretty decent. Big Ten West sucks.
I think we'll all say the same thing.
Yeah,
West is horrible. West is horrible.
Yeah.
Bad. People of Champaign are nice, but Big Ten West is bad.
So it's funny because my last call question was actually about the Big Ten West, only because I seen Barstool Iowa they had a funny tweet that like the Big Ten West is going to end in like a 7-way tie, and a mascot royale is going to a mascot battle royale is going to decide the winner at the end of the season. So that was going to be my last call question: who's going to win the Big Ten West?
Dude, that's a good
I
question.
I gotta look at the standings.
I think Iowa.
I was gonna say Iowa. I wanna. What did Wisconsin do this weekend?
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't see their score.
I mean, I think it's got to be Iowa. Like
They beat
if-
Wisconsin. Wisconsin beat Purdue this past week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right.
38-17.
That's right. I remember that game. Never mind. I'm changing Wisconsin.
Yeah, I would say Wisconsin. Yeah, I'd say Wisconsin.
I feel like such a well-versed Big Ten traveler now that we.
If Iowa can just average a little more points, I take Iowa.
Yeah, well, not with the injuries that they have, but anyway, I'm gonna.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna go.
I am chalking this Iowa game up to our defense being great and not Iowa's offense being terrible. Makes me feel better that way.
Well, you do that, but I don't know. All right. Well, the birds are on, and we're gonna try to wrap this up quickly. So mine,
Go Birds.
Nick Singleton over under 100 yards. Rushing.
Under.
All right, we're gonna get that breakout run this week. Over.
Nick Singleton over under total yards 100.
Oh, they said rushing yards.
No, I said 100. I said rushing. Now my follow up is total yards.
They're both 100.
Still under.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Well, you're over. I know.
I was
you're
gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah, about to say-
basically.
I'm gonna take the under. No, he's gonna have negative receiving yards under. No.
Basically, the question was for Coco. I wanted to see what he thought about his
But
passing game.
I can take the under. What if a backwards pass for like 20 yards?
We almost saw it with Keandre Leonard-Smith. Oh, Coco, Jalen Hurts is down. Doesn't look good.
I gotta go watch the
Season's over.
Birds game here.
The season's over. But okay. All right. We're gonna wrap this up. We went long, but we love the whiteout so much, and we just love being at the whiteout, so we couldn't help it. But make sure to like, subscribe, follow. Sorry, I had to. I couldn't pass up that opportunity.
That was my first and last big game that I'm gonna miss for Penn State.
Yeah, well, you've said that before. And here we
All
are.
matters. Trent Rose Bowl,
Yeah.
Rose Bowl 2016 whiteout game. I was there for that.
I was there for those two.
We are Tailgate Talk.
Bird time.